It's the Weekend Sports Buzz with Tyler Boyd, Mark Blankenbaker.
Throws it away, trying to kick it to the left corner. Threw it right to Mays. Off to Cauley. Stein drives and dunks. And there's the big fella running the floor that we heard so much about from Coach Cal. Mays wants it back. He's got it. Fakes the three off to Wilcher. Another one. In and out and back in. 7 threes for Kyle Wilcher.
Welcome into the Weekend Sports Buzz. My name is Mark Blankenbaker. I'm joined on the line with Tyler Boyd. He's on location this morning. And Tyler, Kentucky Wildcats ground out a great victory last night.
Great victory, Mark. You know, I couldn't be happier about my Wildcats. Tough fought game by the Lafayette Leopards. I didn't know it was going to be that ugly. You know, Mark, I'm very excited.
52-point win. You know, the Cats get 23 assists, 40 buckets on 23 assists, you know, and 15 steals, only 8 fouls. You know, it's definitely a nice little bounce-back game after losing earlier in the week to the Duke Blue Devils.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Kyle Wilcher, Coach Kyle Perry told Wilcher over the last 4 days or so in between that game, you better shoot the ball or you're going to be right on the bench. Well, he came out and he shot about, I believe it was 5 shots in the first 8 minutes. He was knocking it down. He had knocked down 7 3-pointers for the entire game. One of his better games as a Wildcat in his short career. It was a fun game to watch for a Kentucky fan. Yes, it was very ugly. Like you said, 101-49. That was a beatdown. But I was, you know, in the game, it's hard to take out what is a positive, what's, you know, in a game like that. But I did like the way the big guys played together down low. Willie Cauley-Stein and Nerlens Noel, they look good. And, of course, Alex Poitras, he's an absolute monster. But other than that, you know, it was just one of those beat-down games.
Right. I mean, you know, I felt the same way, you know, earlier this week. We know Louisville takes down Samford in basketball, and, you know, it's hard to complain about, you know, 20 to 30-point wins. You know, in Kentucky last night, they shot 64.5%, which is much better than Louisville's 36.9% they shot against Samford. But, you know, other than that, that's the only thing that Card fans are really howling about right now is, hey, yeah, this team plays great defense, and they're great, you know, they're awesome, you know, passing the ball, but, you know, can they please, like, score a little bit? And
oh, yeah. Well, Mark, yeah, I wanted to ask you that. I know if anyone wants to give us a call, 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz line, get in on all this good action we're going to be talking about this morning. But, Mark, I want to ask you that. Russ Smith, obviously, he had back-to-back good performances. If Russ stays hot, it stays consistent, that's good for Louisville. But what if he does not? Where's the offense coming from? I know I've asked you this before, and you've kind of beat around the bush with, you know, some Hancock and maybe some Siva, but Hancock cannot shoot, and that's been evident for his first 2 real games and going back to the scrimmage games.
Well, let's get real. Okay, last couple games, Luke Hancock's shooting like 8%. I don't think that Luke Hancock is an 8% field goal shooter. I think it's more likely that it's going to regress towards the mean, which if he's a 38% shooter, that's significantly better than his 8% performance that he's put up so far. So, yeah, if Russ Smith gets cold, you know, it is cause for concern. But, you know, you got to look at, you know, the other pieces. And you got Gorgui Dieng out there who's looking amazing with his ball handling skills. I mean, when you think about Gorgui as a freshman, and he kind of looked like a fish out of water. Like he didn't understand the rules. He didn't really know what to do. He didn't know that a charge was a personal foul and all sorts of stuff. I mean, now he's handling the ball. He's making really nice passes. Had 5 assists on Thursday night against Samford Bulldogs. And, you know, Russ, you know, if Russ could actually pass the ball, like he had 18 points and 0 assists the other night, you know, then, you know, things could really get really good for Louisville. So I'm actually going to focus on the positives, the fact that Luke Hancock's not going to be 1 for 12 in every single game this year. You know, I mean, you would think that a guy who did it at George Mason and shot 45% from the floor would eventually hit 40 to 45% from the floor. So, you know, he's going to be playing a little bit better competition. That's not the case against Samford. So I'm definitely, I'm definitely encouraged by the good things, and I'm looking forward to this battle for Atlantis that's coming up next week during Thanksgiving week. So
yeah, actually, you just got it kicked off against Samford. That was actually the first round game for the Battle of Atlantis, which is quite odd to me.
Well, it's actually not a first-round game. There's two different divisions, and Sanford's in the other division, and every team plays another team from the division. So it wouldn't eliminate anything with the tournament if anything crazy had happened. But
yeah, I wanted to go back to your Gorgie Zhang. You know, I do agree with you. Gorgie Zhang has from a freshman to where he is today, it's been a drastic change. I like Gorgie's game. His offensive game has came around better than most big guys throughout the whole country. He's got that little turnaround, little 7-8 footer that he's just absolutely money on. I do like that. His passing is good too. But I go look on the Kentucky side of things. Nerlens Noel, he had 4 assists. He can do the same thing. He's one of those guys. He likes to pass the ball. He seems to be, I mean, in the past 2 games, very control. He looks uncontrolled, but he is controlled. I guess it's an unorthodox style play that he's just very used to. I'm excited about the way he can pass the ball down the low side. And if you want to talk assists, Julius Mays, 10 assists to 0 turnovers as a non-point guard. That's a fantastic game. I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, Julius Mays, when you see what he did, 10 assists, only took 3 shots, 2 steals, 5 points in 31 minutes. He's getting it done with where he can. He's doing exactly what he needs to be the godfather on this team. That's what I'm calling Julius Mays this year. He's the godfather. He's old man Mays, and he's gonna keep this team together. When things start going bad down the stretch, in a tight game, he's gonna bring the team together. I was really interested to see Jared Polson with 26 points or 26 minutes last night. So
I mean, Ryan Harris still out, due to they don't really know. Maybe I've heard maybe mono, obviously some sort of flu, but Cal Perry said he just has no energy.
Right.
And he sat out again, and who knows what's going to happen. I guess Wednesday would be the next game against Morehead State, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and it really stood out in the Duke game, how much Kentucky really needs him, because Archie Goodwin's a great ball handler, but I didn't really like him at point guard too much.
Oh, yeah. Archie Goodwin, you could tell last night, he played a lot of the 2 last night because Mays worked it into the 1. I think that's what was implemented already in the 3-4 days off from the Duke game was Archie Goodwin is not going to be the point guard. He's not going to be that backup to Harrell. It is going to be Julius Mays. He is obviously the more smart player on the court, especially with the ball in his hands. And Archie Goodwin doesn't need it. He needs to be out moving around where he can get the ball and create his own shot. He doesn't need to be creating other people's shot. He needs to do it himself because that's what he's best at. Came into college as one of the best slashers, if not the best slasher out of high school. He might already be one of the best in the country because he was doing some nasty stuff past 2 games against Duke. And that dunk last night, I don't know if you saw it, Mark. I don't know if you paid attention to this game. But he threw down on this guy. They called it a charge. It was number 2 on ESPN's top 10. I just saw.
Yeah, I saw it on SportsCenter. It was nasty. I did not watch the full game. I recorded it just in case something crazy happened and I needed to go back and watch it. But I thought it would be about a 40 to 50 point win, and I didn't want to spend my Friday night watching that, to be honest.
Oh, I know, I understand, but I didn't watch Louisville's game against Samford. That was just an ugly, boring game on both ends. I definitely would not want to watch that. But Louisville has a game tomorrow, if I'm correct, Miami of Ohio, and it should be a pretty simple game for Louisville again. Before the Battle of Atlantis, I know we'll talk about that a little bit more. We also, before we get into that, we also have Dave Spelker. Our man Dave is going to call in at 10 o'clock. He's from Vite Magazine, talking about the high school football playoffs last night. There was a very good game with Trinity barely knocking out St. X 15-14. Maybe a James Quick injury seems to be okay. We'll talk to Dave about that, though. And just coming up here in a moment, though, my man Matt Dennison from the High School Sports Report. He is from the Courier Journal. He covers a lot of Indiana sports. We're going to talk a little bit on the other side of the river, Mark, see what's going on over there. Football season's going on. We're actually, I guess you're on that side of the river, and I'm on this side of the river.
Right. I'm on the Indiana side, and you're on the Kentucky side. So
I am.
It's very confusing today.
It is very confusing today, but it's fun. But I want to get into your game. Obviously, Miami of Ohio. I don't want to break down that. That should be a simple win, right?
Well, it should be, but it's definitely going to be a nice little tune-up more than Samford was. Because Miami of Ohio, like what Louisville has struggled with has been rebounding against teams with size. Well, Miami of Ohio has size. They have a 6'11" center, 6'8" power forward, 6'7" small forward. So And the other thing is, don't discount the MAC so much. I mean, because you remember last year that Ohio game that Louisville had against the Bobcats, like, really went down to the wire, and Ohio actually turned out to be a pretty good MAC team. But, in November and December, we're looking at all these non-conference games and just discounting them all because, they're not, traditional powers. But Miami of Ohio should be handled pretty easily by Louisville, but it's going to serve its purpose as a really nice tune-up game going into some really good games in that battle for Atlantis and the Bahamas.
I'm looking at your schedule, and I skipped over the Miami game the other day. I was like, oh, well, it looks like your next game is, in the Bahamas, because it's weird how they have the schedule set up.
Yeah.
They actually have 22nd, 23rd, 24th game ahead of the 18th. I don't understand that. But, yeah, your first game in the Bahamas will be against a team that is probably unfamiliar, but now recently known, Northern Iowa. They made that little Sweet 16 NCAA run. I believe it was 2 seasons ago. Farouk Minash was the guy's name, something weird.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'll just let you go ahead and butcher it. I'm sure
I butchered it
without me, putting the cleaver to it. Northern Iowa is traditionally, even if like for the past 5 years, a very strong basketball school, kind of an oasis of middle of nowhere of basketball. So, you don't get stuck on the directional name of Northern Iowa, because that's some really good basketball players come out of Northern Iowa for sure.
You got that first game will be Thursday, 9:30 p.m. It'll be on the NBC Sports Network. That is an interesting game to me because, the way they're if I'm sure the same coaches there from 2 years ago, their offensive game was a lot. I mean, they had that 3-point. We're shooting it Louisville style, 30+ a game without a doubt. I expect that to be an interesting, at least the first half, maybe 30 minutes. But Louisville should handle that one pretty simply, in my opinion, as well. I think this whole tournament, it's got some good teams. Mark, correct me. Let's see, Memphis, Duke, Louisville, obviously, Northern Iowa. I'm forgetting 2 more.
Yeah, I'm forgetting them too. And the deal is like every single team is in the AP top 25.
Yes, it's definitely the best preseason tournament.
Yeah, so it's got a third of the top 25 teams in it. It's 8 teams, a third of the top 25. Let's just go with that. It's ridiculous.
There you go.
It's ridiculously good. So if Louisville can come out of that as the Battle for Atlantis champion, that this team's legit. If they don't, it's still early. And it's more of like an NCAA, actually more of a conference tournament style, because it's every single day of basketball, which is really going to make us tired during Thanksgiving week of trying to cover each game.
That's a long trip. It's not your local number 1 seed that Louisville seems to be 60 miles trip down to Rupp Arena to play first round. They're going to the Bahamas, which I'm sure they're not too mad about that.
It's like a 3-hour flight, if that, and it'll be fine. They'll be good to go. What's
interesting is you could face Duke. Duke just obviously beat Kentucky it was a very good game. They were up 14 at one point. Kentucky fought back. It was obviously just a few freshman mistakes in here and there. Lost this game. Not having a point guard definitely didn't help. And I would very expect Kentucky to beat Duke in 2-3 months down the road. If they played them in an NCAA tournament, and I had to put my life savings down on it right now, I would do that victory because they're that much better. And I think the interesting would be Louisville versus Duke. What do you think about that matchup, Mark?
I think that would be the most awesome thing to happen next week. And I really don't even think it's on a lot of people's radar right now for Louisville fans. Louisville hasn't been able to play Duke since 1986, despite the athletic directors, the 2 athletic directors that have happened at Louisville since then, trying to get them on the schedule. And Duke has avoided Louisville. They've dodged them since the national championship game. They've played people all around the country. They don't want to play the Cards. Jay Billis had hair the last time Louisville and Duke played. So when you're talking about 26 years of dodging somebody, then it's time to come get your whooping. But I think Duke is probably going to lose a game and probably won't see Louisville in the battle for Atlantis, which I would be disappointed.
I know they have to play Memphis before Louisville. I think if Louisville Duke played, it would be in the finals.
Yeah, it would have to be the final game. So I really want Louisville and Duke to continue to win so that they can play each other in that final. But I don't see Duke winning 3 games.
I think it will. I disagree. I think it will be Louisville Duke. I don't think Memphis. Memphis is good, but they're not that talented. They got some talent, but they're not a team. I don't think
Duke's not that talented.
I know they're not. I totally agree with you. I know they're not, but they're more of a team right now. That's why I also had Duke beating Kentucky. They're just more of a team right now because they've been together so long. It's not even about seniors versus freshmen. It's just they've been together so long. They've been used to each other. So that's the only reason I think it will be Louisville Duke. And when it comes down to it, I do have your cards pulling this one out because I think you are just that much better than Duke because you are a team as well. You've been together for, what, 3 years?
Yeah, it seems like the same team, kind of like the football team, really. You know, they all came in together. They're all going to go out together. And, it's just you look at Siva. There's no way I thought Peyton Siva, coming in with all the hype that he came in as with a freshman, that I thought he would be here 4 years. And, and Russ Smith, I didn't think he was going to be – I thought he would transfer out. So,
I had that same feeling. I did not have the feeling that you did about Peyton Siva. I knew it would take him some time, and it's obviously worked out for him. But Russ Smith, I was on the same page as you. I thought he may transfer after that first year as well.
Yeah, I mean, and then Gorgie Zhang, okay, another perfect example. And I talked about this just a few minutes ago. He looked like a fish out of water on the basketball court. Didn't understand how to play, and now we just talked about 3 players that really didn't think would be here possibly. So it's just really interesting to see how that plays out, for Louisville. And now they're a talented veteran team who's been through some stuff. They've been to a Final Four, I think the odds were pretty much stacked against the Cards against that Kentucky team last year. One of the better teams in the last 10 years of college basketball. We had an opportunity to cover it and watch it. I think Kentucky wins the national championship in the past 10 years last year, to be honest with you. Like, if you go take them against
the past 20 or 30 years, honestly. They're one of the better teams. I know there's some good teams at North Carolina in 2005. This would be a very good conversation.
Right, it would have been that would have been an amazing game. Exactly, that Carolina. Speaking of Carolina, we have Carolina on the line right now. How you doing?
Just fine. Mark, Coach Petito never has beaten Duke University.
Ooh, that's a good little fact. I would love to get him to play them then.
Just like Patino has never beat Calipari. So why are you so confident?
Oh, he's beaten Calipari, just not at Calipari at Kentucky.
At Kentucky, that's what I was going for, Mark.
And also, Calipari has never beaten Mike Krzyzewski.
Yep. I saw that stat, Carolina, on the before that Duke pregame. That was very interesting to me. I believe nowadays he is 0-3 against Coach K, if I'm correct.
This.
Yeah, the thing is, if Coach Petito and his bricklayers play like that against Duke, you're going to see at least a 10 to 20-point game because Duke will score. They have shooters on their team. They have basketball players. Yes, Louisville has athletes, but Coach K has people that can play basketball and shoot. And Seth Curry may be the best shooter in the nation now.
He might be, and one of the things is that everybody always kind of lines up offense and defense against the Cards, and Louisville always limits field goal percentage against every team they play. I think Kentucky was the only team that was actually able to shoot over 45% of the Cards past January. You take out once you started at the Providence game last year, they were the only team that was able to go over 45%. There was one interesting thing I learned about Coach K this summer when the Miami Heat won the NBA title, and that was that Shane Battier was the first Duke player that was coached by Coach K to win an NBA title.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That is true. I saw that stat too, Mark. That was very interesting to me. It's crazy.
That sucker was very interesting. Shane was one of the best players I ever saw, and people talk about the flop. It was not invented by Coach K. It was invented by a man's team about 7 miles down the road from Coach K when Dean Smith had them players that would fake the charge.
Oh, yeah. And Cal's comment going into halftime was classic. Talking about the flop. But I was disappointed that he didn't own it in postgame, and I think a lot of national people who covered that game really felt the same way.
I think it was more, at halftime he was told he probably got not a lot of grief. He got a lot of people saying, oh, gosh, a lot of the outside people are not happy, especially Duke fans. And, he just kind of toned it down. it was a fun shot at the opposing team, and I thought it was. I loved it.
I thought it was hilarious.
Carolina. I wanted to ask you quickly, Keselowski, top 15 finish. Is he going to win it for Penske?
He's going to win it. Last night was a heck of a race with the trucks. My man had almost gotten into position where that he could have won. Ty Dillon could have won the trucks, but that Kyle Larson got under him and took him all the way from second place back to fourth in the standings, and then Kyle Busch, the guy, pushes him up against the wall to win the race. So I'm looking for some great results. I don't think we'll see a Phoenix fight like we had last week.
Good.
But, I'm looking for some good racing. You know, Brad qualified third and JJ qualified 10th. So if they can just hold a whole position and everything, it'll be good. Well, I'm looking forward to those games next week. Watching Duke and play against possibly Louisville down there in the Bahamas, and it ought to be interesting because I just don't know if for a power game. I don't think Duke can match up that way because they have one good big man, and that's the Plumlee down there, and but Ryan Taylor can't shoot the threes, and he can take those guys outside. Y'all have a good day.
All right, thanks, Carolina.
Yeah, he makes a good point. I think me and him are on the same page. Louisville is just a little too more powerful, a little bit more talented, and they are a team already. I know we're up against this break, Mark, so let's do that. If anybody else wants to get in, 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz line. You can also shoot Matt a text at the Lotus Gunworks text line. That number is 414-1450. We'll be right back. This is the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Your time now, all you dreamed of, stand in the spotlight, yeah, and feel the love. Just look around.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
Tell me what do you see when you're looking at me? Whoa, whoa, whoa. On a mission to be what I'm destined to be. Whoa, whoa, hey, whoa. I've been through the pain.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. My name is Mark Blankenbaker. I'm joined online with Tyler Bloyd. And right now, we have on the line, oh, never mind. We were waiting for we're going to have a little short segment, and we're going to have Matt Dennison on the other side of this segment. Tyler, who do you like? Last week I called Louisville having a tough game against Syracuse, called A&M beating Alabama.
Wow, nice.
I'm hot.
You're hot. Look what happens. I leave the building, I go to the woods for a weekend away, and Mark gets on the winning side of things.
I don't see any upsets this week, unless you go way down the list, and you got I got West Virginia beating Oklahoma.
So you don't think Stanford has any shot tonight against those Oregon Ducks?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No,
I'm super confident about this. It was, I believe it was Oklahoma and somebody, maybe Kansas State. I don't remember who it was, but it was a close game. Are you sure?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Nope. No, Stanford's going to lose big tonight. Baylor will lose to Kansas State. Notre Dame and Alabama aren't going to lose. Georgia's not going to lose. Florida's not going to lose. I mean, who there's no games really. I mean, this is like the worst week for college football.
Let's talk a little bit about more the college game. We'll break down some scores and obviously talk about the one lone game this weekend, which is Kentucky. But right now, my man, from Thursday night on the High School Sports Report, every Thursday from 7 to 8, Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Grill over there in Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, right there at Highlander Point. Matt Dennison. Matt, good morning, my man.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
We're doing great. I hope we woke you up this beautiful Saturday morning. My man Matt here, he's one of the newer guys at 1450. We're glad to have you on because the show is, I'm sure you've heard it, it's every Thursday, again, 7 to 8, the High School Sports Report over there in Indiana, covering all things Indiana sports. Matt, it's been fun every Thursday night at Highland Report, you and Charlie and all your gang out there on Thursdays.
Yeah, it's a good show. We have enjoyed getting the coaches on, but equally we've also enjoyed getting the local athletes a chance to get some recognition and get on the radio. It's been a lot of fun, and with basketball season here, everybody knows how serious Indiana high school basketball is. We look forward to having coaches out and really kind of getting this thing underway.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know we wanted to get you on this weekend because, if I'm correct, this Thursday it is Thanksgiving, guys, so there will be no show, but we getting kick things back off here in 2 weeks over there in Indiana. But a little bit about this week, Matt. Obviously, every Friday you do the high school, the Athlete of the Week. That's interesting to me as well. But football playoffs are going on in Indiana. Last Charleston's one of the teams you like to cover. They got knocked out last week, but we're down to the nitty-gritty. What do you think? Who's going to take home the titles around Indiana?
Last night a lot of the Center State games were played across Indiana. The team that beat Charlestown, Gibson Southern, which is down toward the Evansville area, they play Indianapolis Chittard, and it was such a long distance. Instead of playing on a school night or a school evening, they are playing this afternoon. So once that game is played, the state finals and all 5 classes will be set. Now, Columbus East would be really the closest team that was still alive in the Center State. They were 12-0 or 13-0, I believe, last night, going into the game against Indianapolis Cathedral, who was not ranked in the top 10, and I think maybe had lost 5 games. And Cathedral somewhat dominated them. I think it started off first half was really close, and then Cathedral ran away with it like 49-14 in the second half. So local teams really are done for the year. We hope Gibson Southern has a good showing. They shocked in their own right, shocked Charlestown in a regional game last weekend that was right here on 1450 The Sports Buzz. But football winding down, and it's always a good time at the Lucas Oil Stadium. The finals on Friday and then continue on Saturday. But really, Tyler and guys, I tell you, the main focus is really switching to basketball now that we've got some cold weather. Girls' games started this past week, boys' games. There's been some scrimmages this weekend, and they'll get underway next week. But that is really heating up here in southern Indiana.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, on just this past Thursday, we had the coach and a couple players on from Borden High School, and if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong, Clarksville High School.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
We had those two guys on. They all seemed very excited about the season. A story that I really was interested about because my man Dave Spelker from Bite Magazine, we like to do things with them. Is the guy, I believe his name was Andrew Johnson from Clarksville. He was one of the transfers from Henryville, Matt?
Yeah, Andrew Jones. He's
Andrew Jones,
quite a
correct.
player.
Yeah, he's one of the he transferred from Henryville High School. Obviously, the tornado issue over there that happened, over a year or so ago, and now he's over with Clarksville. And this is just an interesting story to me. That being in the disaster area of things.
Yeah, Henryville's got a new coach this year, Dan Carmody. He's a veteran coach in Indiana. He's not been a head coach the last couple of years, and Perry Hunter had been the coach there. He's one of my very close friends, and what a story that was, and what a situation on March 2nd last year. I can't ever forget that. But just talked to Coach Carmody, did a preview on Henryville for the Courier-Journal's preview section. It's coming out. It started on Thursday. It'll come out today and tomorrow and through Monday. You can read about all the local teams, whether it be Indiana or Kentucky. But Coach Carmody really said, he said, we may struggle a bit, and this season's not really about wins and losses, but a small town like Henryville, it's about getting everybody in the gym, and a rallying point is what he called it on Friday and Saturday. They've got a new, beautiful gym, a new floor. It's not totally new, really remodeled, severely remodeled, I guess you could say. But that was quite an issue. And, of course, one of the negatives, beside all the damage and things that happened, that really matters, was Andrew Jones did end up transferring to Clarksville, and what a pickup for Jason Connell's team. Clarksville had a great year last year, and he will make them even better. And I tell you, they're going to be quite a contender in this area.
Yeah, they seem to be very excited about this upcoming season, especially the coach. He had plenty of positives to say about not just Andrew and the other guy that was there, but his team top to bottom. But we had, before I move on with Matt, we had Griffin O on, Mark. I think this was before we brought Mark on. We might have been me and John Hancock. We talked to Griffin O. He was actually out of Henryville, and he is a current Louisville football player. I think he may have redshirted this year. I'm not sure, but he's there. And like you said, Matt, it was just a horrific time in the area, and something to hold. Griffin saw the whole town and obviously the whole region, just banded it together and helped them get through. So that was good, and glad to see that Andrew Jones was doing well. You did mention it. I wanted to bring it up again. Your Courier-Journal, you're releasing your preview for the high school hoops. You said it gets kicked off, I believe, today or yesterday, and it's going to go on through Thursday.
Yes, it's inside the regular sports section. It's not a separate section as it has been in the past, but a lot of great information. We've covered every team in southern Indiana and given you a breakdown of who their top kids are and some quotes directly from the coach. And of course, we had a lot of feature stories on some of the more prominent programs locally that are expected to be the better teams. And the same goes for Metro Louisville and for Kentucky. No matter what side of the river you're on, the last couple days and the next couple days, your sports section will be jam-packed with information about the upcoming high school season, schedules, rosters, all the particulars that a fan would want to know. So I encourage you to check that out. A lot of hard work from the staff went into that.
Yeah, it really is. Well, Matt, wanted to get you on just for a few moments to get it out there. Again, you can catch him every Thursday night right across the river in Floydsville, Indiana. That would be at the Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Grill in Highlander Park. Get out there. It's from 7 to 8. There's a good crowd that comes out. You can see him chatting with coaches, players. He has his Athlete of the Week every Thursday. It's a fun time, so come on out every Thursday. Matt, appreciate a few minutes from your Saturday morning.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank
Matt
you.
Dennison, Courier-Journal, and one of the newer 1450 hosts. He's very good. I enjoy being a part of his show every Thursday night. Mark, I know we're not the most familiar with the high school sports, especially over in Indiana. But it's good to have a guy like Matt being able to come on and break it down, because we have a lot of listeners in 1450 that come to a lot of listeners in Indiana that typically tune in to 1450 just for the high school talk that we do get into.
Yeah, absolutely. And that Griffin Ull story that they do that kind of came out last year. I mean, it ended up in Sports Illustrated. It's like a huge story, because here's a guy who did everything he could to play college football, and he didn't have high school football at his school, and then his high school is ripped apart by a tornado.
Yes.
So that's just one of the more interesting stories. So I'm glad that there are people out there who cover that, because if it happened, and I was supposed to cover it, nobody know about it, because I just don't know anything about, I just can't keep up with high school sports. That's why we have guys like Matt Dennison and Dave Spelkler and people like that. We'll have Dave on at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. So that'll be great. But yeah, I was looking at the high school scoreboard, man. These games are getting tight, so I'm excited to talk to Dave about that.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, the big one of the night, we mentioned earlier, was the Trinity St. X game. Trinity edged it out in what I was reading online was one of the better games in a while. 15-14, just barely squeaked by rival St. X. During the game, Mark, a guy that Louisville fans are very interested in, James Quick, he did get injured. He went off the field on a stretcher. It seemed to be later in the evening. He tweeted out, or somebody close to, I can't remember which was that, it was just a few broken ribs. He was going to be okay. It's nothing severe, I don't care if you go to Louisville, son. I'm glad you're not hurt. I'm not one of those guys, but I do want to ask Dave this, specifically from the GOAT himself, Mr. Spelker, on his page. I'm pretty sure he said the St. X people were cheering when he went down with that injury.
Ooh, we need to find out about that, because that could be ugly down the road. But like you said, I know they thought it was a neck injury because they put him on a backboard and they were kind of carting him off and everything like that. But I am happy that it is just a couple broken ribs, because whether or not he goes to Louisville, Ohio State, or Oregon, or wherever, it doesn't matter to me. Just want him to be healthy. Don't wish a player like that's put a lot of hard work and energy to become the player that he is to get hurt. So I'm sure the Shamrocks will hold it down, but the other 6A games are kind of coming around too, so it's going to get real interesting in this 6A championship without James Quick available for Trinity. So
Scott County, it will be playing Trinity for that state championship. Scott County knocked out Simon Kenton handedly, 47-9. A couple local games. There's a lot of great local games. PRP barely beat Butler, 28-21, one touchdown. Eastern handled Ballard pretty good. Ballard put on a great run. Former Oldham County coach that I'm familiar with, current Ballard coach Mike Jackson, he got that team. He started out kind of slow. He got it turned on over the last few weeks, was winning out, but he just ran into a tough Eastern team right there. J-Town got beat up by John Harden. Other than that, you just got the local out, the Lexington schools, and then your boring 1As. But I mean, the Danville, I guess that would be one of the bigger games. Danville did get beat by Somerset, 31-.
Well, and then you also got Central High School. They took off Bell County in the 3A. So I'm looking. I don't see any other local games, but Western got taken down by Collins. So but Central Yellow Jackets still alive. So that'll be interesting to see if they can keep their good play going in the playoffs.
That'd be cool to see. Obviously, Trinity will be the favorite over Scott County. It'd be cool to see. Trinity, Central. Keep all the local titles right here in the state, and don't let them get outside.
Let's not let them outside the county.
No, let's not do that. But let's go ahead and get to that break. We'll come back and finish this first hour of the show, and then of course at 10 o'clock, our man Dave Spelker of Vite Magazine will join us. This is the Weekend Sports Buzz. Myself, Tyler Boyd, and Mark Baker. We will be right back.
Judge me, put your foot in my nights. Picture you living my life. Picture you stuck in the cell. Picture you wasting your life. Picture you facing a charge. Picture you beating the odds. Picture you willing to bleed. Picture you wearing the scar. Thank you for making.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
Where would I be without you? Where would I be without my baby? The thought alone might break me, and I don't wanna go crazy, but every thug needs a lady.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Tyler, when I hear that song, it makes me feel like when we're not together in studio. Where would I be without you?
Can we get more, type of music like that, man? I really enjoy that. It gets me going in the morning.
Exactly. Where would I be without you?
Am I right? Is that Ja Rule?
We could do without you singing it, though.
Man, is that Ja Rule?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it.
What happened to Ja Rule?
I don't know. I guess that song right there, and then you just dropped off the map.
You get fat and rich, and you just sit back the rest of your life.
I guess so.
Him and Missy Elliott just getting it done.
I should have never sold my rights to that song.
Mark, you made a great point. 384-1450. Give us a shout. The Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line. We got a few minutes here in this last segment before we do get to Dave at the top of the hour. We started the show, with the UK and U of L talk basketball. I wanted to kind of get into the mock draft for 2013 and where some of these guys are sitting. I'll start with Kentucky. Nerlens Noel currently at the 3 spot mark. He is just behind Shabazz Muhammad at 2 and Cody Zeller at the 1 spot. It's interesting to me that Shabazz Muhammad may go to Washington, where they already have a John Wall, a Crawford, and a couple other guys as well. But they're going down the list as well. Here you got Willie Cauley-Stein. He has now moved all the way up to the number 13 spot to Utah. He skipped up Poitras. He skipped up Harrell. He wasn't on this list, I promise you, last week. I was looking at this with my man Jones. Just 2 more down. Archie Goodwin at 15. 16 spot, Alex Poitras. They're going right there. And Harrell is on the list here coming over. Ryan Harrell at the 37 spot. That would be in the 2nd round. Very interesting to me that Willie Cauley-Stein made that jump all the way up that quick just on what could be.
It is very interesting. And, I think I'm looking at the Louisville players real quick, but just to comment on the Kentucky and just this list in general, I can't believe that Andre Drummond got taken as high in the draft as he did, because in my opinion, he's a terrible basketball player in a big person's body. So, so when it comes to these mock drafts, even when I see something that I don't agree with, from now on, I'm referencing Andre Drummond getting taken in the top 5. A guy who admittedly, says that his range is 2 to 3 feet. It's unbelievable, unbelievably bad. So, I think this list is really going to change. You mentioned that Willie Cauley-Stein, wasn't even on this list last week. Now he's 13th. And there's a lot to come out of this. I
won't not saying next year Cauley-Stein should be there. He could happen just because he has a lot of potential. I wouldn't be surprised if he has more potential. It could be better than Nerlens Noel. The kid is 7 foot and he runs like a 4.4 40.
Oh yeah,
that's ridiculously fast. He can jump. He's super athletic. He can catch. That's his main thing. He's a very freak athlete. So it was crazy to me that he made that jump all the way up. Nerlens Noel, I knew he'd be there. Alex Poitras, by the end of the season, if he keeps this up, he's going to be a top 5 pick.
I expect Archie and Alex to move up, and I expect Cauley-Stein and Noel to move down. And I really think that what's going to happen is that you're going to see some of the Louisville players, because right now the 2 that I've seen on this list are Gorgie Zhang and Peyton Siva. I think both those players move up.
Gorgie at the 28th spot, and then you go to find Peyton Siva over here in the 2nd round, and yes, the 55th spot, which to the Clippers, in my opinion, that'd be the worst position he could ever go to.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want it. Why they'd have the Clippers ever picking a point guard that late in the rounds? You know what I mean? That wouldn't make any sense. There's several point guards listed ahead of them, that I just don't agree with at all. They have Ryan Harrow in front of Peyton Siva, and from what I've seen out of Harrow, in one game, wasn't enough to make me put him to the 37th pick in the NBA draft. But
he's a talented kid, but yes, that's obviously the Kentucky effect. I don't.
Have to be.
I love it. It is definitely the Kentucky fact. Another guy on this list, another local guy, Isaiah Cannon, the 35th spot. He is that second round. Obviously, he is from Murray State.
Yep.
I don't see why in the hell he isn't on the first page.
I don't know why he's not on the first page either. And let's ask Kelly Patrick, who's on the phone right now, what he thinks. Kelly, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic, buddy. What do you think
I
about
think
this line?
Isaiah deserves to be higher up there. I mean, he's the type of guy that I can see coming in and lighting it up in the NBA. So I agree with you. I don't know why he's not higher on the list.
He shoots lights out. If you remember during the tournament last year, he was pulling from 6-7 feet behind the arc every time and just hitting it, nothing but net. That kid can play. He is no joke.
He has NBA range, and I'm looking at some of these other players, like this kid out of Texas. Kabongo. I know he's pretty good. I put Isaiah Cannon in front of him. I put Peyton Sieve in front of him.
Marcus Smart is a freshman with Travis Ford at Oklahoma State. I got the chance to watch him play at the Derby Festival here. He's gonna be a good player. The 11th pick in this draft over Isaiah Cannon. No way, in my opinion.
Exactly. I mean, there's some stuff to be determined here.
Who would you guys compare Isaiah Cannon to if you had to choose maybe an NBA player? That's kind of a tough. Would it be maybe a little Nate Robinson or?
No, I think he's a different player than Nate Robinson. I think he's more of a overall player than Nate. Nate Robinson is a freak athlete. He cannot shoot anywhere near, in my opinion, as good as Isaiah Cannon. That's a good question.
I actually kind of like to compare us to Bledsoe, to be honest with you.
I could see that.
I don't think that Cannon is as athletic as Bledsoe, but his offensive game really kind of mirrors that.
Kelly, what do you think? I know you're my man on the Sunday right here at 10 to 12 on the Weekend Sports Buzz. What do you think about the mock draft and, Louisville only having Gorgie Zhang and Peyton Sieve on the board?
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I think Shane. I could see Shane moving up over the course of the season. I'm not too surprised to see Peyton about where he's at. But I think from the Kentucky perspective, that Poitras has really impressed me, as he has probably everyone. So I'm not surprised that he's really moved up.
Well, what about this? Is obviously going off pure. What could be down the road with Willie Cauley-Stein going to the 13th spot? Why is it Montrezl Harrell on this list? Because that man, in my opinion, is a freak.
Because he's not going to get more than 15 minutes a game, probably.
He's that good. He should.
The player that I'm, wondering why he's not on this list is Wayne Blackshear. If you're going to go based on pure potential, which is what this is, why isn't Wayne Blackshear on this list? And I don't think Shane Bohannon's really going to be on this list, higher than 50th at any point this year, because there's not a market in the NBA for a 6'6" power forward. Shane has He has to improve his jump shot in order to really factor into the NBA. Yeah, but Chuck Hayes played 4 years and then got drafted in the second round. You're not going to have a player leave early from college who's not going to be a surefire first-round pick. It wouldn't be smart.
Hey, Kelly,
I think one thing that does carry over, sorry to interrupt there, I think one thing, in my opinion, that always carries over is the knack for just grabbing a rebound. Charles Barkley wrote a book about it, and he said the best way is not to worry about boxing out or to do anything like that. It's just go get the damn ball. And I think Shane Bohannon really can do that. And I personally, if I had to predict, I'd predict that will carry over into the NBA. That's just my feeling.
It will.
Rebound definitely knows how to go get the ball. I know quickly, Kelly, I know why you called in. You mentioned boxing out. What about this boxing match that's going on tonight? I know you wrote a little piece about it on KentuckySports.co. We are good buddies with our man Earl Heyman, former card, one of the better boxers out there in the amateur circuit. What's going on tonight?
There's a big boxing match tonight. We got a somewhat of a local guy headlining an HBO event. It's not a pay-per-view event, but Adrian Bronner is he's normally a junior lightweight, which means that he boxes at 130 pounds from the inner city of Cincinnati. He's the number one ranked 130-pounder in the world. He's moving up from junior lightweight to the lightweight division to fight the number one ranked lightweight, so up from 130 up to 135 to fight Antonio DeMarco, a Mexican. So that's a big fight. That's really the main event tonight. So we're going to get to see a guy from Cincinnati who is one of the he's only 23 years old. He's one of the up and coming stars in the sport. But before that, we're going to get to see You know, when rankings and the ratings for boxing does really well, you always have American heavyweights. So if there's anyone who may be able to save the American heavyweight in today's world, it's a guy named Seth Mitchell. He weighed in at about 242 pounds yesterday. He's undefeated. He played football for Michigan State. He had 100 and something tackles during, I think, the 2003 season. He was really good. Would be in the NFL playing on Sundays, but he had some injuries, and he's just been dominant since he started in the professionally. He's going against a guy named Jonathan Banks, who's more experienced of a fighter, but there's a really exciting heavyweight bout to be seen tonight, along with the 135-pounders.
There you go. Kelly, I know we'll be catching that tonight, and of course you can catch Kelly tomorrow with myself at 10 to 12 here in the morning right here on the Weekend Sports Buzz. I'll see you tonight, my man. Appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, good talking to you, Kelly.
Mark, I know we're up against a break, but I just saw on ESPN, a little highlight, a kid down in Florida, a running back, just set the all-time high school career running back rushing record for yards. 11,600-plus yards.
I know, and he's committed to Alabama, so the rich get richer.
Ridiculous. The rich get richer. You're not kidding. Let's get this break so we can get on Dave Spelker from Vite Magazine. We'll be right back for the Weekend Sports Buzz.
Never hesitate, knowing you can call on your soulmate and vice versa. That's why I be the first to see Jacob and frost your wrist up. Now you're old man, I know you're tired of being lonely. So baby girl, put it on. What would I be without you? I only think about you. I know you're tired of being lonely. So baby girl, put it on. What would I be without you?
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. Let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz Line at 384-1450.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. My name is Mark Blankenbaker, joined by Tyler Bloyd. Tyler, right now we have on the line the man from Vipe Magazine, Dave Spelkler. Dave, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Last night, Dave, we had a nail-biter of a game against the Trinity Shamrocks and the St. Xavier Tigers. What happened?
Well, I guess you can overuse the cliches, but it was a classic. I mean, it started out, the first quarter was completely owned by St. X. They came out sky high. They had a fantastic game plan. One of the best trick plays I've seen in a long time, a handoff to Charles Walker, and as he, approached the line, the defense, started closing in, sucking up on him, and then he throws a little pop pass, and, that led to St. X's second score, and everything was going in the direction of the Tigers. It looked like it was going to be a very long night for Trinity. Trinity lost James Quick, on their first offensive series, but slowly the momentum turned, and by halftime it was 14-12. Trinity put together 2 drives, missed the first extra point, it was blocked, and then the second touchdown they went for 2 and missed. So Trinity gets the ball to start the third quarter and put a really, really nice drive together, got down to the 1-yard line and opted for the field goal, which a lot of people in the stands, were mixed on that because the angle was terrible for the kicker.
Right.
But he made it, and, while certainly everyone there thought there was lots more scoring to be had, that was it, 15-14. Just a tremendous defensive struggle.
That's crazy. I didn't get to pay attention to the game last night. Doing other things, you said it was 15-12, or it was regardless, 3 points only in that second half. It's crazy, especially with the high-power offense that Trinity has had all year. What St. X has done over the last 3-4 weeks with implementing more of a high-power offense. I say a lot more pass plays and, like you said, that trick play, doing more things to put points up on the board. So it's just nuts that turned into a defensive battle. It seemed to be that St. X came out in Glazer's last game, putting up everything they had, trying to keep it going.
Couldn't have played a better first quarter, in my opinion. They had everything going, and then slowly Trinity got back into it. But the Trinity defense in the second half, they only allowed 1 first down, and I believe that was on a defensive penalty, and 11 yards offense. That's just unbelievable.
That is interesting. And now going back to what you said, and we've mentioned it as well, is the James Quick injury. He went down in the first series. A lot of people thought it was a neck injury. He was carted off on a stretcher. It seems to be that he may have tweeted out, and I may be wrong, a few broken ribs is all, and he will be okay.
Well, that's really good news. I've tried to keep an eye on things on the sideline, and they were working on his neck. The base of his neck, and he was, rotating his head, and he actually, stood back up and kind of was jumping around. For a second you thought, well, he might be okay, but then apparently no, they decided we're going to check this out and carted him off. Unfortunately, just a couple minutes later, Dakota Jones for St. X is taken off with, I think, a broken leg. Wow. And then, of course, Charles Walker, I don't think it was as serious. It didn't involve an ambulance, but he left the game in the second quarter. So, really, studs on both sides had to sit this one out, which is
everybody's putting everything out on the field, though, letting it out there for that big-time rivalry game. Now, what interests me, and I have to bring it up, I would have known it if it wasn't for you yourself, Dave, your alma mater and the fans, were they booing James Quick's injury?
Well, I have been. I've had some calls on that since I posted that, and again, this is one man's opinion. It was a monster hit on Quick by 3 guys. Very clean, nothing dirty, no flag was thrown, but it was obvious to me that as soon as it happened, something was wrong. Now I know there's a certain amount of time that people cheer for a big hit, and that's fine. That's part of the game. But there's a point also that you see this guy's hurt, and that's kind of when the cheering needs to stop, and concern needs to come in. So again, in my opinion, the cheering went on, a little bit longer than normal. So, but you ask 12 people, 6 would say yes, 6 would say no.
Yeah, I totally know where you're coming from. Like you said, it's one man's opinion, and it was crazy to me. I've had a few other people that were actually at the game, and I texted them last night, and they're on the same page as maybe one man's opinion as well, Dave. So I wanted to get it from you. You were there yourself. There were some other interesting games around the area. I know you weren't in attendance because you were at the big one, but Eastern knocked out Ballard. We've mentioned the scores, but Eastern knocked out Ballard. But Central staying alive in 3A here locally. All the local teams are doing well.
Yes, Cody Wolfer Eastern apparently had a monster second half. 5 touchdowns, I think, for Eastern in the second half, and they really turned the tables on the Ballard team that I think had beaten them pretty much by the same score maybe a month or so ago. Central, without their quarterback, won, which is good, so I hope Gibbs is back for their next game. He sat out for a concussion. PRP undefeated. I knew that game was going to be close, and actually I thought Butler might get them, but PRP undefeated, looking good, and now that game with Eastern next week will be a good one. Scott County will come and play Trinity, which, I'm assuming James Quick is out for the season. I don't know. I mean, I'll be interested to see if he can come back and play, but, they've got a lot of guys that can step up if he can't make it back. I'll tell you who I'm proud of is the DeSales Colts. They won 10-2 last night.
Wow.
And that is out. Now they'll play Caldwell County in the Final Four.
10-2.
So that's kudos to the Colts. Just still a lot of good football going on around here.
Also, I wanted to bring up to you, Dave. You're with Vipe Magazine. Obviously, everybody needs to get out and grab a Vipe if you have not. Dick's Sporting Goods, Kroger's, all the local schools they are delivered to personally. They're everywhere. Vipe Magazine covering local good stories, not just breaking down games. They have great stories of all the high school sports. It's a national thing, but the one right here in the greater Louisville area, it's fantastic. Fantastic. What is coming up in the next issue of Vipe Magazine?
Well, I hope you get a chance to pick up the one that's on the stands now. Kroger's, Dick's, Hibbett Sports. We've got a really good story on the Moore wrestling team. And if you're into the wrestling community, every year Moore has 1 or 2 outstanding wrestlers. Well, this year they've got a bunch of them, and they very well could contend for a state title. So that was a really cool article we did with them. We honored the seniors from the soccer. Good soccer season around town.
Oh, yeah.
So we tried to get all the names of all the seniors and some memories. And we did a little piece on the Fern Creek soccer team, which it's the spoiler alert, but this team is combined of so many different nations. It's really cool how all these kids have come together, overcoming language barriers, and just a really good feel-good story. And they had a great season, too. So, yeah, I'll pick it up. It's got some pretty cool stuff in it. And then next month we'll be doing our basketball preview. So
there you go.
It doesn't end. It just keeps on going.
High school sports ever, and especially when you're out in bass fishing. And one thing I did want to mention before I let you go, bowling. How did the Dixie Bowl tournament go last Saturday?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for mentioning that. We had a blast last Saturday. Congratulations to the Pleasure Ridge Park boys and girls, both taking home the hardware. It was just a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, if you've never been to a high school bowling tournament, I know it sounds crazy, but you are missing one heck of a time. The fans, the kids, it is a party atmosphere, and you've never seen so much excitement and school spirit. It's really a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So again, congrats to PRP. You bowlers, you're getting it done on the lanes. Mark, you have anything else?
Oh no, that covered it perfect for me.
Dave always covers everything for us on a weekend. We appreciate you coming on. A little scratchy voice screaming and hollering last night during the game. Every Saturday, Dave, and of course every week on Mason and Myers in the morning. I believe every Tuesday morning.
That's right. Tuesday morning. Maybe I'll have my voice back by then.
There you go, Dave. Enjoy your Saturday and your Sunday, and we'll be talking to you next week.
Have a good one, fellas. See you.
All right, thank you.
Mark, Dave's always getting it done for us. We appreciate everything him and Vipe Magazine does. It's just crazy to me, that people, would boo an injury.
I've seen it so many different places, at the high school level, the college level, the pro level, and it just kind of like, even like if you look at it, the Chiefs booed, they cheered their own quarterback getting hurt,
Yeah,
Castle.
That's pathetic. There's no reason for that. It's it's there's another time and another place. If you're at your house and you want to be that guy, go for it. But no reason to do it straight to the kid when he's laying on the field, down and out. Anyways, Dave, we appreciate you coming on. I guess we can go ahead and get to this break. We're going to come back and we're going to start talking local sports, UK, UVL, a little bit more. Talk about Louisville's basketball. A little bit of bye week, Mark. You're on a bye week.
Thank goodness it's a bye week.
It's for you. I bet you've been traveling everywhere.
And Louisville fell, and they don't want to see a tailspin with them losing Senoris Perry to an ACL injury. So bye week comes at a good time.
There you go. This is the Weekend Sports Buzz. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz on 1450 AM.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. My name is Mark Blankenbaker, CardsandCats.com. Tyler Bloyd, KentuckySports.co. Here with the Weekend Sports Buzz. Give us a call, 384-1450 on the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzz line, or give us a text at Lotus Gunworks, text line 414-1450. Tyler, man, are you going to this Kentucky game today? They're playing the Sanford Bulldogs. Senior day.
Yep.
Joker Phillips' last game in Commonwealth Stadium as head coach. Are you headed out that way?
I'm not. I'm not headed down to Lexington, but my man from KentuckySports.co, Brad Steen, will be there. He'll get to accompany yourself.
The Steeny Weenie.
Steeny Weenie will be there. He was obviously on last weekend with you and Kelly, the Steeny Weenie himself. So yeah, you two can enjoy Joker's last home game and senior night. I'm glad you started this segment with that, Mark. I hope that everything I have, that this is a 60+ thousand, 70,000 packed house. I mean, show your support for Joker Phillips' 20 years of service for the football program, not just the last 3 ugly years, but what he has done.
I'd like to see that too, but I don't think we're going to see that though, Tyler. I think it's a night game. It's 7:30. It's cold. Sanford, it's a FCS opponent. I really don't think that.
The seniors, they've been through a lot. They started out. They started out as freshmen with Rich Brooks. They won the bowl game. And most of these guys probably didn't get to see much action, if any at all. Maybe Rod King here and there, a few other guys. But other than that, they've had the last 3 of losing, and rock bottom.
I will say though, Tyler, that in the
seniors.
I will say though that since they've announced that Joker Phillips will not return as head coach in 2013, that I've had more interest in Kentucky football from people that we talk to on the website, and then also just text messaging. So there is a more interest, but I think all that interest is going to kind of happen next year. I think that they have already turned a page over to basketball. If you're a Kentucky fan, which is totally understandable considering your football squad only has 1 win on the year, but that was to a pretty good Kent State team, and I have to wonder, the timing of this game being your senior day. This is a game that you should really play in September, and I gotta wonder what happens if Kentucky plays this game, after the Western game instead of now.
The Sanford, this game itself,
right. Game? Take the Florida game and move it to today.
Get blasted.
And then, you're going to get blasted. But what changes if you play Sanford, in game, what is this, game 3? What would it be in game 3 after Western? It doesn't matter. Earlier in the year. Does it change anything?
No, you just get an earlier win. You get to chalk up 1 win earlier.
You don't think they would have been nice to have been able to run packages with Morgan Newton or Jalen Whitlow or Patrick Tolles instead of going into the Florida Gators without Max Smith last minute?
Yeah, that it doesn't matter. If we could have went in with Florida with 100% full strength, we still would have lost. It would not have mattered. I'm glad this Sanford game is on senior night, is the last home game, because it does put a little high point leading into next season in the Lexington area. The fans that do get out there, it gets for the players next year. A little win at home in the last game is always a positive note to me. You're going to go on the road to rival Tennessee, looking at probably a packed house just because we beat them last year. They're going to be pissed. They're going to pack it out, even if they're not good and Dooley's gone as well. Go ahead and win this one, and make it a fun night. Make the fans, if you're out there, get out. If you have a ticket, don't let it sit there. This is Joker's last game. At least you could be a part of something.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I really just hope that they could beat Tennessee too. That's what I remember. I think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to win tonight. I really just want to see them beat Tennessee for the second time and have Joker Phillips kind of ride off in the sunset with 2 wins under his belt, and 2 wins against the Tennessee Volunteers. I think that would be the best way to see Joker go out, and maybe some folks scratching their heads as he does.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking at the Sanford. They're not bad. They're 7-3 in the FC, but the FCS, the 5-3. Sanford is 5-3 in the Southern Conference this season, so they're a decent team for the competition they're playing. +8 margin of the turnover. That's 13th in the FCS. This team is not your walkover, Sanford. Yes, I do expect Kentucky to win, but if they beat Kentucky, Mark, am I surprised?
Yes, because there's no way that they should, because you know what, they don't have anything to play for after today. They're not going to qualify for the playoffs. So it's this is kind of their last day too. For all the seniors that they have, this is their very last game. So
it's just crazy. And maybe I'm just excited that the season's basically almost over. Which I think what your point of the fans, it's kind of the same with us. It's the talk is out there in football, but it's shifted to the coaching talk. It's constantly who they're going to get? Have you heard anything? No, I don't know. Why would I know?
What would you say though if you had to make a guess? Who's the next head
guess
coach?
For the leader? It's probably your man Sonny Dykes. If I had to take a guess, because he's the most legit candidate coming from college game. In my opinion, I don't think he could get it done. I just don't think he would win at Kentucky. He might get a bowl game, squeak one out here and there, 6 win, maybe 7. But other than that, I just don't think he'll get it done to where the way some fans, the way some of these boosters and alumni want it to happen, the way Bobby Petrino could get it done.
And that's who you want is Mr. Petrino?
It's not happening, and I know that. It's off my yes, but that's who I want.
You know who I want for Kentucky, to be honest with you, is Sonny Dykes would be exciting. I could get behind that. It would be fun to watch. I don't feel like Kentucky would, compete for the East, but I think they would win some games and probably go to some bowls, like you said. I've heard a lot of talk about Butch Jones too. I'm not sold on him. The guy that I really want, to be honest, is Cliff Kingsbury at Texas A&M for Kentucky.
I've heard that as well, but I haven't looked too much into him because I'm hearing what I have heard is he's not in your 1-2 selections.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, but he could be that guy that's a Billy Gillespie off the radar that they're just going to go out and hire.
Yeah, well, the reason is because I look at Louisville's the best hires that they've made. I don't think there's any argument that the 2 best hires that they made in the last 10 years have been Bobby Petrino and Charlie Strong. So when I look at those 2 guys, both those guys were offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I know that Kentucky and Mitch Barnhart and all the fans really want an established head coach who's won somewhere else. Well, I actually don't think that's what you should want. I think you need to gamble because you have absolutely nothing to lose. And the only thing, and with a big gamble with a guy like Cliff Kingsbury, who's 33 years old, is you're either gonna go really high or you're gonna be right where you are. So what's the real issue? You know what I mean? And I feel like Cliff Kingsbury has a huge ceiling. He's going to go in there. He's going to sell tickets. He's young. He's going to be innovative. He's going to have a great young staff, great offense from the Kevin Sumlin, Mike Leach, Hal Mummy tree of coaches. I really and truly feel like this is the place to go because Kentucky could get a hot commodity now like Cliff Kingsbury, but they're not going to get a Cliff Kingsbury when he's 38, 39 years old and has opportunities elsewhere. You're going to get a guy who's going to be a head coach in college football for a long time if you get him early. You're not going to go get – if you want to go get a 55, 56-year-old Sonny Dykes, whatever. Great, good for you. You're going to have him for 4 or 5 years, and he's going to get old and tired and put his feet up like Phil Fulmer. So – what are we doing? You're going to go out? Are we building a program, or are we trying to sell tickets?
Now, wouldn't you agree with me that this coach isn't obviously it's not on the same? It won't be on the same expectation level as Joker immediately. This coach will get 4 or 5 seasons.
I think he'll get 4 or 5 seasons, but I actually don't think that the coach will need that much time because, like I said before the season started, that Joker Phillips probably going to lose his job because the roster is young and the schedule is tough. You know, and you know, we talked about this a couple times. This is a perfect storm for Joker Phillips to lose his job. There are players on this team when the cupboard is not bare. That's the thing. That's that true. People have to realize that the coach that comes in here is gonna get a lot of credit for a lot of good work that Joker Phillips and his staff have done. I don't think that they've done a lot of good stuff in terms of execution, but in terms of building a roster of really talented players, the players are there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The freshman and sophomore classes are very talented rosters. They're right around the same. If you want to go by numbers, it's right around Louisville. It's right around, your Boise State numbers-wise. He does have a good core there. So, yeah, I would agree. Whoever coach comes in definitely isn't going to just walk in with, oh, gosh, I have nothing. There's guys there like a Max Smith. That's a pretty good quarterback to be walking into that that's not going to go anywhere. Another guy as well, Patrick Tolles. He already said he's not leaving. He wants to stay at Kentucky. He actually, the craziness. He must have won a national championship at Kentucky. I love his attitude, and it seems to be most of these guys are waiting. The guys that are already committed are waiting to see who they hire next before they make their next move. Which I thank God, because they could good players.
Yeah, it could be. And one quick thing. Max Smith. He only played 3 games this year. I think he's still in the top 12 for SEC passers. You know what I mean? I think he's actually still in the top 8, to be honest with you. So
that's crazy.
Even after only playing 3 games. So I think if you have a healthy Max Smith throughout the season, that this season actually goes a little bit different for Joker. He may still lose his job, but he probably is going to go down with a little bit better fight. In games against like Arkansas, maybe you turn around and win that Georgia game. Maybe you pull through against South Carolina. You know what I mean? And those are, I just said, 2 really good teams that Kentucky actually had on the ropes, and with better quarterback play, maybe they turn those games around. So I hope I'm illustrating the fact that there's talent there for Kentucky, but they really struggled, once Max Smith went down, and they were up against the ropes already.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely up against the ropes. 384-1450, 384-1450, the Oxmoor Ford Lincoln Buzzline. Give us a shout if you want to get in on all the shenanigans. I did want to mention that Tennessee, Mark, obviously they've let go of Dooley.
Is that official?
I thought that was official. Maybe it's not 100%. It's basically, if it's not official yet, will be
official. It's a foregone conclusion, I believe.
Conclusion, exactly. But there could be more to that. It could maybe some penalties, maybe some probation issue that could really help Kentucky, because Auburn hasn't let go of their Gene Chizik yet.
That's coming.
Do you think that'll come? Is that 100%?
I think that's a foregone conclusion as well.
Okay. So that would mean Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, and possibly Tennessee, all openings. Tennessee would definitely be opening, just depending on if there is an issue with a probation or maybe, a scholarship situation. It could be 3 way higher programs at SEC available to go coach at before Kentucky, right?
Yeah, there's a lot, and then you also got to look around the country. You got Purdue; they're going to be getting rid of their coach. That's traditionally a very good Big Ten job. Cal out west is a very good West Coast job, and I know that Mitch Barnhart, has hired West Coast guys before, and I know that Mike Bellotti's actually on the second tier list as a backup plan for Kentucky right now. So there's some real significant factors in play around the country, and they're just now starting to open up. We're gonna hear more even after this week. After this week of games, you're gonna have some really underperforming teams that athletic directors are gonna start getting antsy, and they're gonna start wanting to make sure that their program is on the radar for these coaches that are available, that are or somebody they want. But in the end, you gotta go out, I think, if you're Kentucky, and really roll the dice and really try. And don't pick a safe bet. Why get a safe bet? Like, why pay a Butch Jones like $2.8 million, which is what I've heard kind of thrown around. Butch Jones isn't worth $2.8 million. You're only getting that. You're only paying him that because you don't want him to go somewhere else. You don't want a guy that's interested in cash. You want a guy who really believes in the program and who really wants to build the program and is really anxious for an opportunity to prove his worth.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think I know I wrote a little piece on the site, KentuckySports.co, over the week. You shot fun at it, as everybody else did. the Kentucky interested possibly in Bill Cowher. You know,
Bill Cowher's not coming.
Former Pittsburgh coach, you know, Steeler great, you know, the schnoz. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. You know, Larry Vaught of Vaught's Views put a piece out the other day saying he's around the program, so he definitely knows people that are, you know, hearing things.
Yeah.
You know, he said, this isn't me. This is Vaught. He heard it from an insider that Kentucky has been put interest in Bill Cowher due to the fact that obviously he's a hell of a football coach, but, you know, John Calipari's relationship with Mike Tomlin, current coach, and the man himself, Bill Cowher. Now, Mark, I know you know this. I
really want the Easter Bunny to wrap my Christmas presents too.
That's where Mark is on this one. The Easter Bunny wraps presents. I know. I'm basically with you as well. Maybe a leprechaun. I mean,
because why would Bill Cowher win a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers, retire from football, move to North Carolina, which is where his entire family's from, and not, if he wants to get back in coaching, not look at the NFL, and then turn down NC State and North Carolina in recent years to go coach Kentucky?
Maybe he just doesn't like like you said, he won the Super Bowl and he's done, right?
Because the North Carolina State job's coming open at the end of the year, most likely, because Tom O'Brien's thinking about retiring.
Here's the way I see it. I think I can answer all of those for you. Okay, you start out, he won the championship, he got out of the NFL, he doesn't want to go back. This is all scenario to your answer. He doesn't want to go back because he's already at the top of that game. No reason to go back and risk not ever winning again and losing, maybe not even making the playoffs again. Mike Tomlin, obviously doing great things in Pittsburgh. He's not going to go back to Pittsburgh, where he would probably only place to go. He's had opportunities to go to NFL teams over the last 6-7 years, and he hasn't. He doesn't even get mentioned really for these schools. Now to your North Carolina-ish and North Carolina State, it's the ACC. If he would go to his big school, in my opinion, come back, it would have to be to a big-time conference. I'm not saying Kentucky's a big-time school. At least the SEC, a Big 12. I don't think the ACC. I mean, you asked. I have some answers.
Well, would Knoxville be much closer than Lexington to his home state, North Carolina, which isn't also going to be open, or Auburn, for example, which is an easier place for him to win?
Exactly, like I just said that those 3-4 schools that could be a bigger opportunity for him to win immediately. Yes.
Now you want to talk about an NFL coach who actually you have a shot at? It's Rex Ryan.
I don't think we have. Why do we have a shot with Rex Ryan?
Because he's about to get canned in a major way, and his dad actually lives in Kentucky. He actually has a reason to come to Kentucky. His mom's not doing well in a nursing home up in Carrollton. So why not? You know, so you have a better chance of getting Rex Ryan than you do of getting Bill Cowher, who has absolutely zero ties to the state or anything, any kind of relationship.
Calipari, that's the only reason he's probably in the mix. My odds, 2%. I know, but I had to throw that there.
0.02%. How about that?
Rex Ryan, though. You said Rex Ryan?
Yes, Rex.
I don't know about Rex. I just don't know about Rex.
I don't either, but it would be fun.
What's he do? What's he done for Dallas?
Oh, you're talking about Rob.
Oh, I'm thinking Rob. You're talking about the Jets. You're talking about Skinny Brother now, not Fat.
Yeah,
Bro.
Skinny Bro now.
Skinny Bro. Oh, now that's an offensive mind. That's a crazy mind. I don't know, man. I could possibly jump on the Rex train, but I'd still rather go with the Schnoz or Bobby Petrino. I want somebody to win, and that's Bobby for me. And I know that's never going to happen. So, who they hire, I'm going to be up in the air with it.
I think it's going to be Butch Jones, Sonny Dykes, and I'm going to hold out for Cliff Kingsbury. So
you think it will be one of those three guys?
Yes. Well, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is really high up on the list. He's high up on my list, but I think in terms of Mitch Barnhart, I think it's going to be Sonny or Butch.
There you go. A couple birthdays, and Butch Davis's birthday, Mark.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, 1951. And, of course, another coach, Paul Christ, familiar with him. Yep. 47 today.
Little Danny DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito. Not many people remember his old school actually, but nowadays he's all familiar for "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia," one of my favorite shows. It's a classic show. Anyways, it's good. 384-1450. Give us a shout. 414-1450. Shoot us a text on the Oldest Gunworks text line. We'll come back. We'll continue this talk. Maybe we'll start talk a little bit about your Louisville football on this bye week. Mark, we'll be right back for the weekend sports buzz.
It's just a little things you do that makes me wanna get with you. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your butt. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your butt. All I wanna do is zoom, 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 and a boom, boom. Just shake your butt. All I wanna do is zoom, zoom.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz on 1450 AM.
I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. Went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burned.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Buzz. That is Johnny Cash. My name is Mark Blankenbaker with cardsandcats.com and Tyler Bloyd on the line with KentuckySports.co. Tyler, last week the Louisville Cardinals went up to Syracuse in the Carrier Dome. Woo! Lost their undefeated season, lost their starting running back to a ACL tear, and fell in the BCS rankings in a big way. And now they still can really get all what they were trying to do kind of finished. They could still, finish in the top 10 of the BCS, and they could still make a BCS bowl. But that undefeated chance for a season is now over. Did you have a chance to watch the game?
I did not. I was in the middle of the woods hunting. I got plenty of tweets and texts, and I was a happy man when I got back into my tent in the area, the campsite. But it seemed that Louisville was exposed. It was the game that you and everybody seemed to predict. It wasn't like this was a surprise. Syracuse did beat Louisville, which is okay because all you have to do is either allow Rutgers to lose today or beat Rutgers, and you still go Orange Bowl.
Well, yeah, Rutgers losing today actually does nothing for the Cards. It all comes down to that head-to-head matchup, and not after next week on Thursday night, Thursday after Thanksgiving. So it all kind of comes down to that, because if Cincinnati beats Rutgers, it just makes a three-way tie possible between Rutgers, Louisville, and Cincinnati, which that may work out to an advantage, but the Cards have to beat Rutgers no matter what. So
just basically what you're saying is you need your Cards to come out and beat UConn this upcoming week. They're obviously on a bye today. Handle UConn at home, and then go on the road and beat Rutgers to go to that Orange Bowl. Now, what if you don't go to Orange Bowl? Where are you going to be sitting at?
Actually, it's one of the more interesting things that I do is I've been looking at the BCS picture and where the Cards might go and trying to rationalize it from the way the process actually works. I think a lot of people just assume that Louisville will go to the Orange Bowl, but that's actually kind of up in the air. Right now, Louisiana Tech, if they move into the top 16 and Nebraska loses, would get a BCS guaranteed spot in the system, and they would probably get the Orange Bowl spot because of the Orange Bowl picks last. So Louisville would then be up for an at-large spot between the Fiesta and Sugar Bowl, and I actually have right now the way things look, I have Louisville against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl, or Louisville against Alabama in the Sugar.
If they win out the next two games?
If they win out the next two games and Louisiana Tech can get into the top 16, which I think that they will, based on the games that are happening, UCLA and USC to play today. Oregon State, has a tough game today. Texas still has to play K-State. Nebraska, I do not see Nebraska beating Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game. So Louisiana Tech will get in the top 16, and they will get an automatic spot. The Fiesta Bowl picks first. They will not take Louisiana Tech. The Sugar Bowl would be interesting to see if they would pick Louisiana Tech, given that it is a Louisiana Bowl, but I don't think that they're going to put them against Alabama. That game would draw no interest at all. So they would have to put them in the Orange Bowl against Florida State to be a sacrificial lamb.
No interest as well.
Right, but the Orange would get last pick, so they get the least desirable team. So
now it's bye week. You mentioned it earlier. It's coming. You couldn't have been on a better timing, especially your boy Sonoris Perry, tough break, went down with the season injury, ACL injury, like you mentioned. The loss just gives you time to prepare for UConn and to prepare yourself for the next 2 weeks, right?
Exactly. And one of the more interesting things. There's two really interesting things that happened at Monday's press conference with Charlie Strong. One was that with Sonoris Perry going down, they're getting Dominic Brown ready to play, and they were hoping to keep his red shirt on, and that may still be the case because I think what's going to happen is Jeremy Wright and Corvin Lamb will be your 1-2 punch. But if one of those guys goes down, you have to have a back to kind of turn to. So I think Dominic Brown's going to be the emergency back. I think he will dress, and if the Cards need him to win a championship, as Sean Watson said, he'll play. I hope like crazy that he can keep that red shirt on, the next two games, and even in the bowl game. But and then the other interesting angle to Monday's press conference was that Charlie said that he was going to spend actually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this past week that just happened preparing for Rutgers, and then on Sunday start preparing for a normal game week for UConn. So because it's a quick turnaround, Louisville's going to have to play UConn next Saturday, and then a quick turnaround, 4 days really, and then have to travel and play a Rutgers team. So he went ahead and put half the game plan in this week for the Scarlet Knights in the season finale. Meanwhile, Rutgers is actually, they have a big game today against Cincinnati at noon in Cincinnati at Nippert Stadium. And that game's going to be very interesting to watch, to see how well Rutgers can handle a pretty good offensive Cincinnati team that's not playing with much to go anymore due to injury and also performance. So there's a lot of good things happening in the Big East and around the country. You got to look at, there's not really a whole lot happening in the top 10, but what's happening in the BCS right now is that they can only take 2 SEC schools. And you got a log jam at the top, starting with Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, A&M, South Carolina. That's 6 teams in the top 9 of the BCS, and only 2 of those will get BCS bids. So that's creating a problem because you have to be in the top 12 to gain consideration for the BCS at-large bids. So you get all your automatics, and then, Florida State's, they're slated to win the ACC. Clemson is going to be, they still have to play South Carolina. If they lose that game, they'll slide out of the top 12 for an at-large bid. Oklahoma they have quite a bit. They have 3 really tough games left, and they could fall out of an at-large qualifying spot. So there's a lot of really interesting things happening here for the BCS that are, quite frankly, scary because they could end up in a situation where they can't find, a 12th team to fill.
So no chance Kansas State, leader of the BCS, goes to Baylor today and gets knocked off?
No, I don't see that at all. I don't see Oregon losing to Stanford. If Baylor does beat K-State, it's just one of those things where you're like, look, it's heavy lies the crown to be number 1 because, it seems like, Alabama wore it for a long time. And, I saw A&M coming in there, and I was like, you know what? I see it. I could feel it for some reason. Johnny Football had been hot. Kevin Sumlin is an amazing coach. Cliff Kingsbury is a great offensive coordinator for the Aggies, and I just felt like coming off an emotional win against LSU that Alabama was ripe for the picking, and they were. And this week I just don't. There's nothing really pressing for K-State or Oregon to really have any problems, and the rest of the top 10 really doesn't play anybody this week.
Something else that kind of interests me, kind of not in the realm of the UK U of L or more the line of the U of L in their bowl, but a team that could potentially be in a national championship game, but obviously they cannot due to penalties, is Ohio State. This team is up for an AP national championship.
Right, and how great was their decision last year, by the way, to accept a Gator Bowl bid when they could have just gone ahead and taken their bowl ban in 2011 with their 6-6, Ohio State Buckeyes to go play Florida, another 6-6 for the best Gator Bowl ever. 2 6-6 teams, and then Ohio State lost that game, finished the season 6-7. Said goodbye to Jim Tressel, and then bring in Urban Meyer, first year, and now you're looking at a 12-0 season that you're not going to get any benefit out of at all because you decided that you wanted to take a 6-6 team to the Gator Bowl. Fantastic decision.
You had your 1-year interim coach. I can't even remember his name. That's how unfamiliar he was.
Wasn't even Tressel, was it?
Yeah, well, it wasn't Tressel. It was the interim for a year. But I don't know why they wouldn't have took it their very first year. They had obviously that was if they're unless they're dumb, which they obviously are. It was a down team with considering half of them left to go to the NFL because their coach was gone. It just amazes me that a team that is on probation that is so damn good can't win a championship, but they could win the AP championship. So there was just something interesting to me. And a comment I was gonna say when you were talking about your Bill Coward, your Easter Bunny, blah blah blah, is why did Larry Brown return to the college game at such a terrible school?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he has family in Dallas or something, and he just wanted to get into it.
It's always a chance, Mark, that a guy wants to do something he's never done before.
Yeah, but he's gonna go to a place that he likes. How much does Bill Cowher like riding horses in Lexington? I mean, what is he going to do in Lexington?
Tell me how many times John Calipari goes and rides horses in Lexington.
How many times does he lasso up a pony and go take the thoroughbred for a spin?
Way more with his rusted ridiculous or whatever it is. This horses he has. I mean, come on now. If you want to talk horses, you're making fun of your own coach. It's ridiculous.
I'm just making fun of the people who like, oh, I heard this person is looking at a horse farm in Lexington. It's always a ridiculous notion that a college football or basketball coaches are interested in horse racing at all. I mean, it's obvious that Rick Pitino is now. I don't think he came here for that. I think it's just part of the culture here that if you have a little extra cash, you get into horse racing. So
yeah, Rick was gambling. I got just a couple minutes left here. I wanted to mention it was National Signing Day over the week, Mark. Both Kentucky and Louisville had their talented crop of athletes go ahead and sign. All five Kentucky, Harrison twins, Andrew and Aaron, James Young, Marcus Lee, and Derek Willis right here from Bullitt East. They all signed, and it's the same for Louisville. Your guys, it was Snyder and Gill.
Rozier, Mango, Mathiang, and they also had, Agu.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, which, apparently they all had a lot of fun with each other talking about, the African big man complex. Mango actually went as Gorgie for Halloween because he keeps getting confused for Gorgie on campus, which, they don't really look alike in the face at all, people. They may have similar bodies, but...
Shows how often you all as fans really pay attention.
Good night. I know. Well, just... whenever Jared Polson gets up off the bench, the Kentucky Wildcat fan base goes absolutely insane.
Shoot for the last 3 seasons, and now he's bigger than that. Jared's doing his own things these days. But it's just good, though, in my opinion, to get the guys signed. Brandon Knight was a guy who never signed his letter of intent. He's never did. It was just smart. I'm surprised a lot more players don't do that if they're the top type tier player.
It doesn't make sense to sign a letter of intent. It sounds, because it binds you to the school and not the school to you.
Yeah, so. Exactly. A coach can get up any day and walk out. Not everybody knows Cal's not just going to get up and walk out. I have a feeling you're going to know when Cal's about to leave.
Yeah, the only thing a student athlete should ever sign if they're ever interested in going to a school is a financial aid document. Because
Mark, what was that?
A financial aid document.
Financial aid document, exactly. That's the only thing they should have to get into. But yeah, I totally agree. It's just with the like Brandon Knight, he didn't do it. It was smart. Obviously, he's fine. He's in the NBA for Detroit, doing great things. Turned out to be one of the better point guards under John Calipari. So it was just good that for Louisville and Kentucky to get those guys already signed on dotted line. You don't have to worry about them. Another coach coming up from trying to get in their ear. Maybe throwing something out there, trying to get them. They're locked up, and they're ready to go. And another guy who might go ahead and commit to Kentucky, Mark, in a couple days. Number 1 player for 2015, Carl Towns, the center out of Dominican Republic.
Good night. 2015.
Yeah, just getting awesome.
Are we really talking about 2015? I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing for New Year's.
He's announced his decision on December 4th. I'm just throwing it out there, Mark.
Goodness, I know, and you're sending me links for the 2014 NBA draft.
I want more for you.
Good night.
More for you. 2013. Obviously, this class is number 1, a long shot potential of the best class in history. Aaron Gordon, another top 6 player for 2013, just cut his list down to Washington.
Well, at least it's for the next class and not 2020 or something like that.
It's for this class, which if he commits to Kentucky with the Twins and James Young, what's already here, it's just getting out of control, Mark.
Getting out of control for those high school kids, buddy. I just don't honestly like signing day. I know and we did a small story for it. That's just not my focus. I like to focus on the people that are here, and I like to focus on the games that are right now. The players that are coming in, they'll be here next year. We'll talk about them then. Matt's telling me we got to go, so it's been a great time talking with you, Tyler, today. I wish like crazy I could see you in person next week. Can we make that happen?
We'll make that happen.
All right, and just thanks to Adam and Matt behind the glass, and appreciate you guys being here for the Weekend Sports Buzz. We'll be back here next Saturday from 9 to 11. See you then.